Hey everyone, Coach Stefan Rudolph coming to you from beautiful Escondido, California here, and enjoying the weather, beautiful winter weather as the winter starts out here. Coming to you from the area that is alive with the ducks, alive with the beauty, and alive with life. Wanted to bring you a special guest here today with one of my interviews here on recovered coaching and introduce a new friend in my life, a fellow epileptic that has dealt with this for many years of epilepsy, battling all the ups and downs of it. Mitch from We Are the Storm, and something that has really resonated with me and come true in my life is helping others with epilepsy. And what we're both doing here now today is introducing him to our group and being able to talk about his story and what he's gone through and grown through in life. Mitch, how you doing?
Good. Looks beautiful over there.
Yeah, winter weather, mid-December.
Yeah,
We're
right.
enjoying it, and
Definitely.
coming together as a community. I saw Mitch. Where did we meet? We met online somewhere with the. Oh, Mitch hit me up because he just did a research on epilepsy and helping others throughout the internet, throughout the world, and he just reached out to me last week. We chatted a couple times now. He has an amazing story as well, and helping others. Also dealing with epilepsy currently, but working on meditation areas. So, Mitch, tell us about yourself and what you've been through and what you're doing for others.
Yeah, definitely. Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me on. I'm just starting all of this and building all of this, and I am currently creating a network slash community called We of the Storm, and it's focused on the empowerment and positivity and building like the mindset that is needed to go through the daily trials. There's a lot of just like going in and out, maybe of like support groups, and people always return to it, but there's no kind of like transformation groups on how to really go into this and redevelop your story, redevelop your relationship to it, find new paths to have access to life again instead of just like shutting ourselves off. And there's a lot of us out there, so the more we connect and the more we share and learn our different processes, the easier the journey can be. We're all out there. The idea of We Are the Storm is, you know, there's everyone's a captain of their own ship. I see everyone as a master. Like we go through this daily, like you have to be in a sense. And I always give that respect to each person that's in the community and shares this together. And what I'm trying to kind of develop is, you know, you're the captain of your ship, but sometimes the waters are dangerous and sometimes you're unfamiliar with certain places. And some people have been there before. So we're like navigators. We help you go through. You still have to maneuver your whole system, but having that extra knowledge, having that extra experience added so you don't have to go through some of the major trials that some of us have been through, and to be able to develop a more smooth progression and to have that extra support to not just say, oh, okay, here we are again, but to say, all right, where are we going? Where's our why? And my why, took a while to develop. I was diagnosed in 2014, right before my 21st birthday. And it, my first, kind of partial seizures were beforehand. I was a completely different type of person. I was going a completely different route in life. My main focus was the military, and I wanted to go into special warfare through the Navy. And so I was doing all of these prep trainings and courses and just like training so hard through high school, just to get in. You have to do trainings to just get to the training. And some of the things, we went through and we learned was just seeing how far you can actually take the human body, how far you can actually take your mind to push you through things that you never thought you could ever do. And I'm really grateful to go through that and to see that and how it kind of helped me form this like baseline of being able to like go through epilepsy and take it a little bit further. And so as I was going through this, I was having partials during all of it. I just didn't know what they were. And it was just like little images on the side of my eyes. I was didn't know it, but I was developing temporal lobe epilepsy at the time, and they started to get deeper and deeper a little bit. And at the same time, I'm training for all of this craziness. I'm learning qigong and some different types of Hindu meditations, a lot of different styles of breath, and how you can change your whole system just by breathing a certain way. And so I had these two different worlds I was in. And when I was just about to go off, those worlds kind of collided. And I had my first grand mal seizure when I went into, it was like one of my last nights of meditation. And it was the most wild experience, mainly just because I didn't know what it was at the time. You had no reference for it. You were wondering if somebody dosed you with something or this or that. And my type of epilepsy is very visual at first. And so my temporal lobes are just firing off, and it's just, the things you see are just, we have really no words for. The language goes away, all this stuff. And you just think that, like, your whole system is just erupting. And
And just to explain
eventually,
real quick too, you mentioned a partial, just so people know that aren't familiar with epilepsy. In the beginning, like a partial is called a small mal, or we don't go into a grand mal, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you were having a
exactly.
lot of those, and this is your first actual real grand mal, right?
Yeah, for me, the energy, it'll like kind of expand, or it'll transform in a way that it gets worse in a sense. So it starts with these small malls, and then it'll move to a certain other part of the brain to where that actually makes it, you shut down and restart. And the energy that takes a person down, and some people shake, some people or convulse, some people straighten out. I don't really necessarily shake too much. I just straighten. My whole body just like hardens. And you know that's the transformation into a grand mal. And that's what was
Yeah, it's like
happening
a full
during.
body workout. I've woken up many times with your whole
Oh
body sore,
man,
and you
yeah,
sometimes,
I've been
when you
sore
work
after.
out and you have your chest sore and you feel good, man, your whole body. I haven't had these in years, but your whole body is sore, right? It's just like
Oh
intense.
yeah, I've been through some major workouts and intense trainings, but man, the sorest I've ever been, yeah, is out of a solid grand mal, that's for sure. And so this transference into it, I basically thought I was dying, like. And there was an actual moment inside of this where I looked in the mirror and I didn't have a reflection anymore. And my whole system was shutting down to where I opened the door to a bathroom, to go back out. And um, I fell down, my body fell down and I fell up. And I watched my body fall. And it was just the most intense experience, even to this day. Um, and I remember everything from that day. When I woke up, it was just the most clear I've ever felt. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. So I was like, wow, that was, that must have been it. This is what the waking up thing they must have called it. And um, 2 weeks later, I had another one and another one, but they started to get worse, way more violent, no memory from what was happening. And uh, I tried to fight it. That's when the worst happened. And I say a lot, a lot of people say fight epilepsy and this and that. I tell a lot of people, like, the strongest, smartest warriors I've ever met, their first reaction isn't to fight, it's to align with the thing that's already has that power. So it's the energy that's in yourself. Epilepsy is just a word, it's a word that a Roman made up when they were calling, mapping out and naming all the illnesses, but the energy that's actually inside of you is yours.
Accept,
And
right? Accept it. Understand.
acceptance, yeah. That's the hardest thing. It took me years, after I had multiple ones, then I was ripped out of the Navy. My whole life was just done. And I had no plan B. You can't in that. And I couldn't, you can't really plan for this. And so I had to learn what it really was to restart, and what it is when life seemingly takes everything away from you and what's left. And I realized that I was following something and I was in something, I was trying to be something, but I didn't realize who I was yet. And like that was the most important part. And so through that, I could say, oh no, my career was over and it was awful. But it was like the biggest blessing that I've ever received, because it showed me that, like, wait, you have to learn you actually are, what you're actually here to do. And if you're willing to serve that hard, maybe we can try something else. And nowadays I realize, yeah, I don't want to go and fight. That was just like a different part of me.
Like you found your calling, so to speak, and a lot of people don't have that awakening, and they're still trying to fight back to go back to where they were. Like if you kept fighting back to get back in your past life, that's how
Yeah.
people end their life, literally, right? They just
Yeah.
touch, yeah, no
Yeah.
acceptance.
And you realize that life delivers to you, but you have, like, it's I always say it's both. If you see two different sides, it's always both in a certain amount of degree. And so it's not really a this or that. It's how you can combine the two to create something else. And so, like, for instance, like fear and excitement, it's part of the same bar almost. And so you're going to be afraid no matter what. It's just going to be there. But it's learning to attach to something else that's greater than the fear. How's a firefighter run into a burning building? How did we run into buildings full of gunfire? Because it's just a higher calling. There's something else there that you're aligned with, that you realize that can push you, further than you ever thought possible. And that's why, it's about like the we of the storm. It's not the I of the storm. It's when you put yourself in that higher seat. And everyone has that, everyone has that master seat. And it's just learning that and accepting to sit in it and just to see, what can I do with this? What can I do with what life has delivered me? If it takes something away from you, it always gifts you something, or it's something you really don't need. And it's okay to show that emotional, like, it goes away. Let it out. If you're pissed off, be pissed off, like, do it, but give yourself an allotted time to let that energy go and to say, all right, now what? Now what are we going to do? Um, and so, like, don't deny yourself any experience, but just always learn that change is there and it's never going to lock you in a hole. There's always a next move to make. There's always a next thing to do. And, after I lost everything, it's deep depression, deep holes in, like, places that we put ourselves, and just feeling so alone and not experiencing any connectedness whatsoever, even with the closest people I was around. And it
So
wasn't
this,
until,
real quick, this was from the first time you had your seizure till about, what was it, a year or 2 years that you were going through this, or how long?
yeah, this is about a year, about a solid year of like deep depression, because it was my 22nd birthday that I had an experience that kind of shook me and woke me up a bit. I had a seizure on a boat, and I woke up from the grand mal seizure with my hand in the water. And it was this realization that, like, it's my birthday and I almost died. And it just like shook me
Oh,
enough to
you were
realize that,
alone? Were you alone?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And right after it happened, like, I woke up, my hand in the water, and I turned up, and then, it was probably an hour later, and like two of my friends got there. And I was like, what if I was trying to see from their perspective of, like, what if they showed up and they had to find one of their best friends dead, and like just this whole thing. And I was just, it shook me enough to be like, okay, no matter what, we have time in life. And no matter our circumstances, we have something to offer. And so, how can I take my life and make something out of it again? Um, and so I made a jump to Colorado, went to Colorado for college, packed everything in my truck, and I went for it. And that was probably the greatest jump I've ever made. It was the toughest for sure. There was times when I was homeless in my truck. I was telling you this the other night, and I would have seizures in my truck, and it was like a one bench truck. All my stuff's packed in there. It's wintertime. I'm getting out of my truck from a solid seizure. I have to put my stuff together and go to class, and it was just brutal. And about a
Yeah,
year
the
of that.
biggest, not to interrupt, but the biggest shift when you told me this story was, didn't you get an opportunity to go to Colorado and you just jumped at it, right? Is that what it was? You
Yeah,
just knew,
yeah.
without thinking, you didn't let the ego, we say, like the conscious mind of who you wanted to be, interrupt. your path. You just felt like you're on this
Yeah,
path and this is what you had to do, right?
totally. Because it was the only opportunity there was, and it was like a big enough change that I knew it was gonna, because I realized if you're, and it's tough to say, in the right words. So forgive me if it's this or that, but when you're so close to death, sometimes you realize that it's a denial that you're making yourself, but it's also a grand offer. If you're willing to die, then all of a sudden life is your oyster. If you say, "Oh, then I was willing to give it all up," and you turn around, then it doesn't matter. I got to try. I can do and try anything. And at the time, it was kind of that was my only mindset that I was able to like come up with, and I didn't have a lot of the tools and the tactics that I learned a little bit later. Uh, and yeah, I was just like, I knew I have to do something. Um,
And to let
and
those people know that they don't, the small malls, those, I had hundreds, if not thousands of near death experiences. That feeling like you're going to die literally
yeah,
is a small mall, 3, 4
yeah,
times a week on the average. That butterflies in the stomach, the tingling, and then, oh God, what's going to happen? And there's that fear.
yeah,
And that really helped me grow too. And it helped you grow to accept death. And when people, I saw
yeah,
a close loved one of mine pass away about 2 years ago, and the story was he was screaming. I didn't see the actual passing, but just in fear, this fear
yeah,
that people have. Where am I going? What am I doing? That's how that felt hundreds, if not thousands of times, right? For you as
yeah.
well.
Because it's the unknown. It's like the greatest fear there is. It's just like because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's the main thing of how you get a mindset to where you want it to be is just practice. Like there's no way around it. You know, um, the you can have insight, you can have that excitement of learning something or hearing something new, but putting it into practice and implementing it is like the most absolute important thing. And I think later after you know Colorado, I've been with so many different masters and people from many different cultures all over the US and different places in the world, and have learned just different implements of like how to build a mindset and actually how to build, because your mind reflects everything else. Your internal is your external. It's on the same feed. If I'm feeling a certain way, that's how that day is going to be formed. It's not the day that's like trying to form you at all. The everything just rotates as it is, and the energy's moving. And how to maneuver yourself through that jungle of energy. And there's so much of it that is unseen. And it's interesting because in those small malls, you notice certain things that um, some of these different teachers and mentors and masters talk about. Like one of the most interesting things when I had my first one, everyone in the room was having a different conversation, multiple people in the room. Everyone's talking to each other, talking about different stuff. When I go into these small malls, there's no difference. Everyone talks about one thing, but you don't or can't tell what that thing is. There's no word for that thing. That's why it can be explained in so many different ways. And it's the weirdest thing, and that still has never went away. Being in an airport and hearing lots of people talk is interesting, and you can feel what other people feel almost instantaneously. That's why a lot of the times I don't tell people, or I don't signal someone that I'm having them, because if they know, I feel it and they get scared, and so I feel fear from them. Um, so I don't know if anyone else experiences that, but they're like different things that are like just instant in that world, and it almost happens in a moment of like all of a sudden you're just in a different reality, and the world works just on the way of energy, vibration, and frequency, and it doesn't really care how you feel about it. And so you adjusting yourself and you adjusting your feelings to it, there can be a harmonious kind of action that happens within it. And nowadays, from those first times when I've had it till now, they're very different. I still have them. I still have all different, from the partials to the grand malls, or the small malls to the grand malls. but now I relate to them differently. As you said too, we have to show up for, relationship to death as well. And it's a scary thing. I've lost a lot of friends. I've been really close to it. The things that I've learned, I've almost died for, many times. But my relationship to death, I've developed it in a way that it's not this scary monster in the dark that's like going to get you, or this deep unknown that's just going to like take you away. I see it as like my closest friend, like my best friend, that's going to come pick me up when I'm finished here. And I know when I'm finished here because I have that, there's like that agreement. I always ask, like, if I go in one, I'm like, is this it? Because I do everything 100%. If it's going to take me, I'm going to show up for it.
Yeah, you're here for your destiny and you're living it now. And a lot of the times, if we're not living it and we're not doing it and we're sticking with this is the topic we're having too, is a conscious versus subconscious, what we've been programmed to do. And if you're not doing what you should be doing, a lot of people just in their lives, or they drink or drugs or something that just takes them out of this world. And
Mhm.
you've awoken to this world and you're still in this world of the epilepsy for that reason, to help others, as you were telling me, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because what kind of turned me and what kind of activated, like, because there's a difference between learning something and being with someone and then implementing it in your life. That's like the extra step that you really got to take. And so I had to find that deeper why. Um, and it was just remembering what it was like to lose everything and that deep depression and that deep like cage and that prison we put ourselves in. Because my main like love is like freedom, being able to be free, and internally and externally through life, and just to the freedom of experience. And I feel every experience has value. And I feel like particularly what our community is experiencing, it has deep value, because we almost don't really have a choice but to go through this kind of madness right now. And other people experience this as well, non-epileptics. And so epileptics have huge value to take their experience, turn their mess into a message, and to share it with others. Um,
Love
I
that. Never
can't.
heard that before. Turn your mess into a message. That's
Yeah, I
great.
learned that from Brendan Burchard's crew. That and it was really potent. Like, we all have messes. Like, I didn't wake up this morning in a perfect state. I had to. It was raining outside. I had to get. My camera's sitting on a suitcase and stuff right now. Like, but we do we do with what we have, and we turn it into the best thing possible. And then we go over it and repeat it and enhance it. And I think that's another thing that epileptics have, is like, we have to learn the real essence of repetition. Because when you come out of a seizure, that's a whole different experience. You come out, I don't really know my name. I don't really know where I'm from. I don't really know where I am. And you have
Yeah,
to like
you behind the scenes there,
restart.
just embarrassing too, because people are asking you, you're telling the paramedics usually how I was, where they're asking, where are you? I don't know. Who are you? I don't know. What
Yeah.
day is it? I don't know. What year is it? Who's president? I don't know. I don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
anything.
What's a president?
Oh yeah. And this is what date. All of a sudden it just comes back 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But it's scary because it reminds me actually of Alzheimer's or dementia. You just like don't even know what's going on. It's
Hmm.
you know,
And so there's that was like one of the harder aspects, because especially if you're working on something, you're doing something and you come out of it. Or sometimes I would have them at work, and I'd come out and have to remember what I'm doing. And um, so it's just this like how I had to develop a process of like how to come out of it in a better way to set myself up. And I realized that through I had a grandma in Colorado, and it was an interesting one. I almost invited it in. I was kind of like fed up of like running from it at the time, and so I was like, you know what, I have time for this. Come on, let's go, let's do this. And it was pretty incredible for the first however long, but then it just keeps expanding. And so like no matter what, it's going to bring on the fear. It's going to bring on, I get really hot, like everything kind of happens. But man, just the colors the things you see and feel, it's just, I mean, it's very overwhelming. It's very intense. But there's a little bit of awe in it of I've never felt or seen anything like this. And I went into a grand mall and I was in my room. And at the time I was working at like an Airbnb type hostel, and I was managing it. And so I woke up and I walked, I got up and I saw two people at the end of my room. And I talked to one of them, and first guy had a deep Australian accent, like from Sydney. I'm just like, Australia? How did I get to Australia? Talk to the other guy, and he's from Philly, deep Philly accent. I'm like, what? And I look at the mountains, and snow-capped mountains, and I'm like, all right, guys, this is gonna sound weird, but where are we right now? And they're like, oh, we're in Colorado. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, that's a good start.
Man.
And I'm like, either you guys know my name? And they're like, yeah, Mitch. What are you talking about? I'm like, all right, that's not a bad name. That's all right. Colorado, not a bad place. You guys seem cool. Like, I could deal with this. And it was
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah, I naturally brought myself out slowly, and I realized after that, like, oh, okay, that at least felt better. It was wild, but I at least took myself out slowly and I gave myself time, and I went into a more place of silence. So when I come out, I don't really rush myself with stuff. I drink some tea. I look at the clouds. I just enjoy being back. And then it brings this gratitude instead of this, like, oh no, I had another seizure. Oh no, I was a month free and now that's crushed. And it's like sometimes we set ourselves up for these failures, which it's okay to count like the days that you've been free, like, celebrate, but also know when to celebrate even when you're down. So like you come out of a seizure and you're like, I'm thankful I'm back. I'm here again. I get to see the sun and feel it. I get to be with my friends, and like, and I've gotten to the point where it took some time, but you realize that if I would totally be gone, what anyone thought of that matter is like the furthest thing, it's so far away. So like, I don't really care what people think. I usually come out and I calm everyone else down. I'm the one that's being like, it's all right. This is how it is. This is how sometimes it happens. There's a lot of us that have it. Like, you kind of educate them slowly, because the only reason they're afraid of it is because they don't understand. And so it's tough to be in that experience and to also provide someone understanding. But sometimes it's relieving to me too, because it gives myself understanding. Sometimes the words come out of my mouth and it's just flowing and I'm listening to it too. Like the student and the master aspect is harmoniously there. We are always learning and always showing others. And that's how we grow together. And so doing that with non-epileptics as well, I think is like super important. But even before you can do that, like the main thing from day one since my journey started, it's just like, know thyself, learn yourself, no matter what your interests are, like map yourself out, look at it and learn that the negatives are the things that are most potent. Those are the things that are going to transform. Things that are already positive about you and things that you're good at, those are there. Those are the things that you can stick to, and that's your baseline. But those negative things like, oh, I'm not good at this, or my emotions do this when this happens, like those can be changed and shifted and transformed. And like that is your right, basically, as a being. And when you do that, it's incredible, like I didn't used to see any of this way. I was terrified of it. And it was like the worst thing in my life. But nowadays, epilepsy is not even really in my top 5 things that I'm like, concerned about. Um, and that took a lot of work and a lot of practice. And, like 2 years ago, I was traveling so much, I was in 18 different states and I lived in one different country. And doing like work and like just being I was lived alongside a Maori elder and a master. And the Maori, for everyone that doesn't know, they're from New Zealand. They're like the original Hawaiians. and they're one of the most ancient cultures that exist. And they're it's incredible. And they have kind of that warrior mindset, but that warrior through like peace in a sense, being powerful, and you can be in your, in your seat, but you don't have to fight it. You show up to it and you have the respect for it, but you don't, because if you fight it, you're just fighting yourself. It's just your energy. It's just your own brain waves. And that's what took me so long to learn. And like, I never want anyone else to have to go through that deep, painful process that I had to go through to try to learn that. So it's just like, you can't fight it. You
It took
have
you so
to.
long, right? It's the awareness, the accepting, the awakening, and just understanding. And the many years it takes you, you're helping others now to say awaken at a faster pace, right? And to become aware of it,
Yeah,
not fight it. That's the biggest thing I found too.
totally. Because if you have to fight it, that means like you're aligning yourself almost in a way that you're not using your full capacity in a sense. You have so much influence. Like, yeah, epilepsy has influence over you, but you have so much influence over you that you show up to it almost as this, like, there's a reverence, there's a respect. You show up to it like how you would walk into a temple, and the energy changes. And it's not this thing that is going to attack me, it's this thing that I'm going to learn from. I'm going to see as something that's there to show me way deeper things than, I would even begin to think about. Um, and like it's my most deepest tool. Um, and it's become an asset. Not to say that it's still not a storm, and not to say that it still doesn't take me down, like there's down days for sure. And I still feel all of those things, but learning and practicing that gratitude, and more than just like, oh, be grateful, like, no, like really dig in, and realize what is happening, you know for you. We always think about what happens to us so much, but just think about what happens for you. And it's hard to see, especially in our state sometimes, but it's always there. And as long as you're aware that it's always there, it's easier to like scope in and view that. Even just setting a small reminder on your phone of like, hey, what has gone right today, or what has gone for you? How did you push the dial a little bit more forward today? And there's going to be some days that like on your down days, like those are just rest days. If I'm not feeling up for something, be transparent, be honest, and just fully rest. Don't like worry and rest. We're so good at that of like, oh, I'm going to rest. But I just sit there and worry about all the things that I'm not doing, or things that, oh, is a seizure going to come up from this, or am I stressing too much? But it's like, a lot of like your practice of just going into a more calm version of, if I can realize, that I have a mind, that means I'm not my mind. So it's almost a requirement for what I am to go in and just see my mind, and then go in and put little things in that are going to help, put little things that are going to ease it. So it's more of a just like kind of a small analysis of like, what did I eat? Did I, how did I sleep? How, did I do anything differently? Because a lot of what we were talking about is like my triggers are such on a like a vast scale, especially traveling a lot, that it's more of just a change of anything. Like if I go to a different place, I feel like the energy's higher and I'm more apt because I've changed an environment. Or if I change like my diet drastically, or who I'm around, and of course, like more negative environments and stuff are going to create higher frequencies for sure. But it's just, I've noticed just the changing of stuff can kind of rub it and kind of create that electricity, but being aware of it also. And then I can like moderate it so it's not these heavy like shifts back and forth. It's more of an ease. Then I don't have as much, and my seizure frequency is way lower than when I first started. Um, of just like changing these aspects and just changing the relationship alone.
Yeah, it's becoming aware to what I say is connect the dots of the heart and the mind, you know, the mind's saying do things, keep working, do this, and it's not becoming aware of what's happening and connecting the dots of the frequency, like you said, the subconscious to the conscious. Without in the middle is a mouthful of excuses. You know, you have this passion and you want to get better, and then all of a sudden you feel like you can control things, or you want to be aware, even when you're having a seizure, to be thankful for it, that attitude of gratitude. But that mind says, this is ridiculous, I'm scared, you know, shut up. It's a battle.
Hmm.
And especially with that mouth that just says, oh my God, what's going on? So it's really the meditation we talked about, the awareness of your diet, your environment. You have a good point. When you're traveling, it's all new, so you're taking a lot in,
Hmm.
a lot of just
Yep.
processing, and sometimes it's overwhelming, and then you have that small mall, or whatever happens turns into a grand mall, huh?
Yeah, totally. And it's having that kind of woo way about it too, because if your mind digs in too much, then you can fight your own mind too. I mean, a lot of, pretty much all of us have experienced that. And so it's like you also have to give yourself a little bit of, you have to give yourself some respect, in a sense of like, if your mind's like, this is hard, I can't do it. Like, yeah, this is hard, but you are doing it, like just small changes like that, of like giving yourself that respect of like, yeah, this is wild, this is crazy, but you're handling it, small steps at a time. And then at first, the first steps are always the hardest, because sometimes you can't see like, I am handling it, like, I mean, for instance, like this is my first kind of time doing anything like this. At first you're kind of fearful and you're scared and you got the jitters and this and that, but you turn it into excitement, because I get to deliver, I get to serve, and I get to, put this message out there to some people that can actually use it and, want to know more.
Tony
Um,
Robbins says turn the anxiety to excitement. It's the same feeling. The
yeah,
anxiety is, oh my God, I'm going on stage, what's going to happen? But no, he's actually excited now. You know,
yeah,
that's what you're in.
yeah. You're going to use this energy. That's what's going to happen, like, and sometimes I think pulling ourselves in and caving ourselves in, sometimes that gives me way more seizures. Like I have to get out. I have to go walk around and like move it around and use it, because we have a lot, like if you really look at what it is, we have so much electrical movement and energy within us that like, it's almost fascinating. If it didn't put us to harm, or bring, such drastic things in our lives, it would almost be this like superpower in a sense. And that was always like my first, question of like, what's my childhood like naive question that can enrich my heart, and I was like, can you turn epilepsy from an illness into an asset, or to some sort of superpower? And throughout this journey and stuff like that, maybe it doesn't go all the way, but it can at least do some good. It can at least, you know, maybe change some lives. Like, even if we create this and, we of the storm, changes just one life, like it's worth it. It's about
Yeah, that's why
impact.
you're here. That's how I feel we connected, and helping others to become more aware. There's the pharmaceutical side, which I sold pharmaceutical drugs way back in the day, and believed in a lot of it, and they do help, of course. You know, they help epilepsy, but at the same time, there's more of a spiritual side, connectivity of why we're here and who we're here for.
Yeah.
And then kind of just telling a little bit more about your contact information, you know, what you're about to, and how people can get a hold of you. Let people know that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're creating everything right now. I'm linking myself to different mentors. There's about four of us right now. Um, So the plan for We of the Storm is, one, I'm creating new like apparel. These are some designs that me and some other friends have done, but I have some special kind of new style of epilepsy gear to wear, to kind of promote it in a different way, to get like different styles of art kind of out there, instead of seeing it as like, you know, this, oh, I need support. Like, almost we're the ones that are supporting somebody else, where they look at it and like, oh, that's cool, what's that about? And then you get to tell epilepsy in a different type of story,
Kind
and
of,
I
kind of like
think,
when they see the ribbon, the cancer ribbon, for example,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
epilepsy has a ribbon or something like that. You're going to be developing a logo almost for the community, right?
Yeah, we have the logo, we have everything. You can start to see all these things start to release at my Instagram, and it's at We of the Storm. And in between each word is a little underscore. We can I'm gonna add clips of this video and everything, and be able to make sure people have links. That's where I'm kind of starting everything. It's the platform I'm most familiar with. We're going to evolve to YouTube, and we're creating a website and a store right now. And the other aspects that We of the Storm is going to start to grow in is, this mentoring, developing courses to learn and enhance different mindsets. I've spent 6 years, like I said, traveling all over, learning from so many different types of people and things that have really enhanced my relationship and my life. Um, and like I said, I'm still in it. I'm still in the storm and everything, but now I'm so grateful. And it just, life is so different and it's potent again, and you feel that vibrancy. And I want to share that with others and bring that to others. And so now that we actually have the setup and the equipment, we're going to start
Doing the
releasing.
first video and bringing it together, and thank your way to
Yeah.
gratitude. What I say, I'm writing a book for thank you to the 1,000th power. Be thankful 1,000 times every day, and it came to me after seizures, after alcohols, 8 years of sobriety, just being thankful. But I couldn't. That's that battle again, and we both know it. The ego says your life sucks. You had another seizure. You're
Yeah.
horrible. This is blah blah blah, and it's like I turned the FUs to thank yous. I called it.
Yeah.
So I just was
Yeah.
like, no, thank you. But really, that's the battle. It's like I don't want to be thankful. Why am I saying this? That's
Right.
that
Right.
mind that you're stupid, right? And you start doing it for so much. It's like a 28-day rehab. For me,
Yeah.
it was. It's like you do this, all of a sudden you actually, okay, I'm thankful I had that seizure. Like you say, that's where we really connect. Is you
Yeah.
wake up, you almost enjoy the moment. You have your tea,
Yeah.
you slow down, and you make life what it is, and you're like, okay, there's that memory. Now I know my name. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now I know
Yeah.
what,
Yeah. Totally.
now,
Yeah.
and people are looking at you like that ghostly look we've all seen as epileptics, like, oh my god, they had a seizure. And you
Right.
either lose friends literally, or lose contacts, or I lost jobs because of that. People out there in the
Yeah.
community know losing jobs because they are epileptic, or not getting jobs because you put epilepsy down and seizures, and you're
Yeah.
trying to be it's a huge awakening that we're here to help other people.
Yeah. And I just want to say, if you lose friends because of this, you didn't need them in the first place, and it will
They're
bring you
not
to
going.
greater people. There are awesome, great people out there. I have so many amazing, like, solid friends, and they're out there. Like, don't get down on, like, oh no, like, these people left because I have epilepsy. That's fine. Life is doing that for you. Trust me. And, like, just keep getting out there and connecting to people. I mean, there's 65 million of us, like, connect with each other and share your experiences and become more familiar. And like I said, like, all the, like, when you're older and stuff, what people think is going to be the last thing that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And to just put yourself in that mode of, like, there is that goodness out there, and we can create more stuff for ourselves. We are powerful enough to, and later on, when we talked about before, later on down the road in the future, just to put that out there, I want to bring courses and enhance, like, epileptic entrepreneurship, and getting, like, support for ourselves and how to network with each other. No matter what we do, all different kinds of art forms. And so yeah, just keep a lookout. My email is, if you're a mentor, an artist, different kind of coach, if you need some assistance or help, or you're just looking for some different kind of support, or information, my email is at weofthestorm@gmail.com. Feel free to email me. And like I said, my Instagram is at We of the Storm, with all underscores under the name. I'll get links to
Yeah,
both
we'll
of
have
those
links on
things.
here as
Yep.
well on the YouTube channel. And it's been great connecting with you again. We're going to have a lot more videos coming up and helping people. And even when
Definitely.
we start out on a sunny day and the clouds come in, and the storm comes in, we got to understand that this is who we are and where we're at, and part of our journey, and accepting all that is. And even the fact that there's, now that I see, I'm looking at myself and I'm saying, oh, I said the wrong location. We have Lake Hodges, Lake Dixon. This is Kit Carson Park. I think I said Lake Hodges, but don't get down on yourself when you make mistakes. Don't get hard on yourself, especially when you're having seizures. That's what you and I are here for, to help others. And we'll have all your contact information. So appreciate your time and wonderful message.
Definitely. Thank you, Stefan. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone else out there for having me on. And I hope you take this information and just, just hear it, like, your beliefs are your beliefs, your whole system is your system, but know that you're the author of it and you have say.
Yeah.
And
You're the author
you
of your own destiny. I've heard that.
yeah, and you have more power than you know. Like, it's true. Like, it's really, really true. You have so much more inside than you know, and to go in and actually discover that, that's the root. And so we're here to help and assist and to
I call
navigate.
it Control Alt Delete. Reset
Yeah.
your mind, reset your life.
Yep.
You did.
Totally.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Much love, everyone.
All right.